Alright guys, so it's been about 4 or 5 days since my last Blox Fruit video, and since you guys really enjoyed my Blox Fruit Devil Fruit tier list, I'm going to be doing the top 10 best Devil Fruits for grinding in Blox Fruits. By the way guys, when I hit 300,000 subscribers, I am going to be doing the 1 chip challenge. So I will be doing the 1 chip challenge at 300k subs. I just wanted to, let you guys know that I did the, the super spicy pepper challenge at 200k. At 300k, we're going to be getting a little bit hotter with the 1 chip challenge. So make sure to like button, subscribe guys. Alright guys, so coming in 10th place and starting out this top 10 grinding fruit tier list is going to be the Shadow Fruit. Now the Shadow Fruit has, very high damage amounts and very low cooldowns for all the abilities. It also has a really good flight ability that you can use to travel around, and it can actually steal HP from people. Now there also is a side effect of, you being able to stun people and things like that. The only issue with Shadow is that it only really has one, extremely good AoE move. The rest of them are, more single target effects, or they'll just knock them away from you. So Shadow overall, I think it's a very solid 10th place pick for this tier list, mostly because it has a pretty good flight move. It has, high damage, low cooldown abilities. Even though most of the abilities are single target knockback abilities, the AoE ability is just so good, it has to be on this list. Now coming in 9th place is going to be the Dark Fruit. Now the Dark Fruit overall has really good stuns, it has okay damage, and it's a very easy to get fruit overall. Now I'm going to be including, accessibility a little bit into this tier list, just because, if you're going to be grinding, usually you're probably not max level yet. So I do think that the Dark Fruit is a very accessible, pretty okay grinding fruit in general. Has decent AoE moves, it has pretty good stuns, it has okay damage and okay cooldowns. It's just a very good average fruit that most people can probably get their hands on due to it being really cheap. Now coming in 8th place is going to be the Phoenix Fruit. Now the Phoenix Fruit does actually get the Awakening, which is what's going to be, this based off of. It's going to be based off the Awakening. First of all, you get really good flight moves that allow you to travel wherever you want. I mean, like, flight moves in this game, honestly, are really important for grinding, unless you want to be riding a boat everywhere, which most people probably do not, obviously, because nobody wants to, spend 10 years sailing their boat across the entire map. So you get really good flight moves, you get pretty good AoE damage. It does do, like, burn damage to people as well, and you can heal based from these actual abilities. So I think Phoenix is a very solid addition to this, to this tier list in general, mostly because it does have burn damage. It's a pretty good AoE. You get very easy to use flight abilities that you can pretty much use whenever you want, as long as you have energy. And frankly, I do think Phoenix is just a very solid fruit in general. The coming to 7th place, it could be the Rumble Awakening. Now Rumble is, probably, as all the people that use Rumble know, it's just a very solid fruit in general. It has a lot of moves that just generally only do stuns. It doesn't really have that much knockback at all. Doesn't really have any end lag, and it has really long range, which is, I think range is one of the most underrated things for grinding in a lot of these games, because range affects how fast you can grind as well, so you don't have to, run across, the map or whatever to kill these NPCs. So range is extremely important. So it has pretty good range, really good stun, high damage. I mean, it's just a really good fruit in general. I mean, like, it's just like, it's probably, in the like top 15 fruits in the entire game. And, for grinding, it is definitely not below that. It ranks a lot higher for grinding due to, having high damage, pretty good abilities to use in general. Not to mention that it is actually a Logia, which most of the fruits on here will be Logias, because they do allow you to dodge M1s, which is actually really important for grinding, because that means you won't probably die as much. Now coming to 6th place is going to be the Ice Fruit. Now the Ice Fruit in general is just a very good starter fruit to use in this game, because it's really easy to use stuns. They have decent sized AoEs. I mean, like, you can also walk on water with this. You won't have to worry about drowning. You can just slide across the water pretty quickly. So it's pretty good for traveling as well. I mean, Ice is just a very good fruit to start off with when you're grinding, just because, like I said before, easy to use AoEs, pretty good damage, insane amount of stuns, and actually is pretty good for PvP as well. So you will be able to use this for more than just grinding. All right, so coming in 5th place is going to be the Dough Awakening. Now Dough is probably one of the best fruits on here for actual boss grinding, because it has a really high single target damage while being able to deal with AoE quite effectively. It also has a really good traveling move in general, and is probably one of the better fruits on here just to get, because it is extremely good for PvP, extremely good for PvE. It is currently the single best fruit in the entire game. So it's definitely worth picking up, just because, the super high damage amount, pretty good for grinding, pretty good for PvP, just a very solid fruit. The coming to 4th place is going to be the Venom Fruit. Now Venom is probably one of the highest damage fruits on this actual tier list. Now Venom has extremely high damage due to the actual burn damage it has. It has really huge AoEs as well. So basically just really big damage, really big AoEs. It's perfect match for actual, grinding in this actual game. You could also actually transform to, do more damage and things like that. So I definitely think, it's just a very solid fruit for grinding. It has really good AoEs, really good damage, burn damage as well, so it's actually good against bosses. And it does actually have a flight ability that you can use to get from island to island. Now coming in 3rd place is probably going to be the absolute best fruit for starters, the light fruit. Now, light has the easiest to use transport move in the game. It's like, that's kind of like what light's thing was for a long time of Blox Fruit, and it still is despite all these other ones coming out. Extremely good flight move. Now, the actual other boos of Pika are just basic high damage, either single target AoE attack. The main reason why it's actually going to rank this high is for its extremely easy flight move. That's why it's going to be the best fruit for starters in this game, because, it has really easy to use abilities, really easy to use flight move, just a very, very solid fruit. And the company's second place, as most of you guys probably know, is going to be the Magma Awakened fruit. Now, the Magma Awakened fruit is extremely good for boss grinding, extremely good for just, normal NPC grinding. It, the actual effects of magma, which is probably the best thing about it, it puts magma effects on the ground, which lasts for a decent amount of time. That can do a lot of damage to the bosses. It's also worth mentioning that this is actually a Logia, so you can actually dodge attacks with it. You can also walk on the water, which is actually really, really good, and you can fly with this. So it's just honestly a really amazing fruit. It's no wonder why, this is magma fruit's a lot of people's favorites. Since it is pretty good for PvP, it's really, really, really good for PvE. It's like one of the best PvE fruits in the game. Obviously it's second on this list, and it's just a very, very good fruit. Now, honorable one is going to be the bomb fruit. Now, obviously, guys, this is going to be for the explosion ability, the self-destruct. Extremely good for grinding. It's good for grinding in both GPO and Blox Fruit. That's all there is to really say about this honorable mention. It just blows up. And then honorable mention 2 is going to be the door fruit. Now, this one, may confuse some people, but it is by far the single best transportation fruit in the entire game. It allows you to teleport to any island you want, and it's just, it's just pretty good just for getting from island to island. It's pretty good for farming bosses, and it's just, I mean, like, there's not much else to say about it. It's just a good traveling fruit. But other guys, what is your go-to grinding fruit for this actual game? Fruit in the comments below, we'll be checking them out. The coming in first place, this one, this one should be a very, very obvious to you guys if you guys play the Blox Fruit. It's going to be the Buddha Awakened. Now, the actual transformation of Buddha is the reason why it's going to be, ranked so high. It has a really, really high damage reduction ability. It gives you super huge M1s. You can also, glitch your melee weapon so that it hits M1s and you're on the ground to make it even easier to hit. So that's kind of all there is to say about Buddha. I mean, it just makes your sword distance extremely long, and it gives you huge damage reduction. And just guys, for this video, if you enjoyed this video, and let's guys. Bye-bye.